and welcome to Black Cats Chat podcast, the international fans podcast for Sunderland AFC. My name is Thirkell. I'm from the Bilbao Black Cats, and this morning we're here to review the defeat yesterday at the Blackburn Rovers at the Stadium of Light. 1-0 we went down, and I've got Jeff Barker. He's in Menorca. Jeff, buenos dias to you, mate. How are you?
Yeah, muy bien, gracias. Saludos a todos. All good here.
Good, mate, good. And a bit of a Spanish lesson there. Who needs Duolingo, eh? Who needs Duolingo? And we've also got Michael Dunne from the Irish Black Cats. Michael was at the match yesterday. He flew over. Michael, how are you, mate? Good?
All good, mate. Just a little bit tired this morning, but doing okay otherwise, yeah.
I tell you what, you deserve a medal, mate, for what you do. Like those, express trips to Sunderland from Dublin, eh?
Yeah.
Anyway, right then. So, we made 7 changes, and we kind of expected some changes, didn't we? Because obviously we had the game against Bristol City on Friday. It was a bit of a tough slog because we were down to 10 men after 5 minutes. Jeff, were you a bit surprised that he made that many changes? 7?
Not really, to be honest. I think he's a big believer in the rotation thing. They've done the Suns. We know we're nailed on. Well, we knew we were nailed on for 4th. Before a ball was kicked yesterday. So I do kind of get it. But then there's the momentum issues to take into consideration. We look very ineffective going forward. Although some of the kids that came in, I thought played well. Thought Harrison Jones had a good game, and the other kid who played on the left, I thought he did all right. He held his own. Blackburn aren't a great side. They've got they've got the luck with one good break, really, wasn't it? And the three attacking Blackburn players, I think any one of those 3 could have scored that goal. I think it was particularly well worked. It was a good goal. But our response was pretty ineffective, really, wasn't it? Loads of shots, everything got blocked.
Yeah.
They defended well. They did a job on us, really, if you analyse it.
Yeah. Michael, as a fan travelling over from Ireland, like for this match, I mean, it's not a great distance, but it is like your time, and you know what I mean. You got to get a flight. It's a whole day. Does it not frustrate you a little bit that you've got to see like 7 changes, and you think, wow, there's no way we're going to win this today with 7 changes? Do you get that feeling or not? Or
not really, no. You kind of know what you're expecting, like, because it's that stage of the season. We've, as Jeff said there, like, we've secured a playoff spot. He's trying to get game time into every player in the squad. So, I mean, if you went over with that sort of attitude, you wouldn't go half the time because we lose so much over the years. So, no, like, I mean, I think I knew what I was expecting. I think he was kind of focusing on that Bristol game to try play his strongest 11 and then get game time into the other lads in the Blackburn game. But he was probably, I think things just kind of went awry against Bristol with Hume sending off early on. But, like, I mean, from my perspective, I think it's the right attitude. Like, he has to get game time into everyone. We'll get into probably people. I know people talk about momentum and stuff, but we're gonna need all these lads come to playoffs. So you can see what he's trying to do. And as Jeff said, some of the younger lads actually played well yesterday. I thought Harrison Jones particularly was quite good. So it just kind of, I suppose, extends the options we have going into the playoffs.
Yeah, no, and Michael makes some good points there, Jeff, that it is important to get minutes in the legs of the people. But my question is it too little too late for these players to get minutes in the legs?
I think he knows now what his start 11's going to be for the 2 playoff games. Certainly for the second leg, because we're going to be at home for the second leg. Whether or not we go first leg and try and play a bit more defensively, perhaps he would have somebody more in a holding role, to try and get away with a draw, or maybe only losing by 1 goal in the first leg, and then put his nailed on first 11, which I think we all know what that nailed on 11 is. Our 11 best players.
Yeah.
With maybe the odd odd debatable decision. I think we're pretty confident what that starting 11 is going to be. I'm coming back for that one actually.
Yeah, well, I hope it's a good one. But Michael, I mean, obviously the one thing that we don't want in the playoffs is like a repeat of that season. Was it under Lee Johnson towards the end when we had the Lincoln game? And what was it? We went 2-0 down, I think, at their place, didn't we? And we came back to the Stadium of Light, and then we got 2 early goals, and then obviously we got that sucker punch later. We don't want that, do we? We don't want to be going back to the Stadium of Light behind.
No. I suppose just to mention, like, to balance it with the playoffs we had against Luton, like people were saying, oh, we went into that momentum, but we also went into that with half a squad because we were absolutely knackered that we were going full tilt at the very end. And I think by the second leg, we had Patrick Roberts playing right back. Like, we barely 11 lads to put on the pitch. So, I don't think there's any kind of right or wrong way to do it, but you can see the right reasons why Regis is taking the approach he has. I mean, you're hoping, say, by the QPR game, I think he said in his interview yesterday that these last 2 games is the playoff mode now. We're going strongest starting 11 against Oxford and QPR. And then hopefully they will go into the playoffs probably with a win or 2 under our belt. Confidence up, fit squad, raring to go. So yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying. That one against against Lincoln, we were in probably less momentum, but I think that was just the way Lee Johnson's team sort of went. We would go in a spell of winning 10, then losing a good few, and then such. So, I think he's getting the approach right. And I mean, to be honest, we go away to say Bristol or Coventry, we're good enough to get a goal there as well. I mean, I wouldn't even be going there thinking we're going to lose. We can sneak a 1-0 in one of those matches. You've gone to loads of teams this year and won by the odd goal, like Middlesbrough, West Brom. We're well capable of shutting up shop and catching them on the break. I think you were mentioning that beforehand as how they want us to play as well.
Yeah. Right, Jeff. So on to individual performances then by people who came in. I mean, Alan Brown came in at right back. Michael, you told us once on the podcast before that he could play at right back. He played there for Republic of Ireland, I think you mentioned. Yeah, he did a solid job. I think, Jeff, I mean, he's not going to be the permanent fixture at right back, but we know that if we need him to fill in, he can do, right?
Yeah. I mean, he held his own. I say it was just one lapse of concentration, really, yesterday, wasn't it? The hit us well on the break. So some good clean passing, and it was a good goal. You just got to raise your hands up every now and again and go, yeah, well done, and then they defended for their lives. They did really. We're just not good enough to find a way through. But it's getting a bit Groundhog Day, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
they don't seem to be able to change tactics. If you got points for going sideways, we'd have gone up automatically. And watching Roberts cut in and run along the edge of the 18-yard box, and get his shots blocked. How many of those have we seen this season?
Yeah, but I mean, one of the guests of the pod messaged me yesterday, and he said, like, "Oh, that goal that they scored yesterday, everything came off for them, every single pass, because it started from inside their own half, and they hit us on the break." And now it got me thinking, like, when was the last time we probably scored a goal like that?
Yeah,
because a lot of our goals, I think, in the second half of the season at least, have not really come from a team build-up, if you know what I mean. They've more come from like either individual brilliance or, do you know what I mean, or just like a fluke. So I don't know, Michael. Do you think there's a concern there that we have lost our identity a little bit? We don't know what is the right way to play because, listen, defensively, I think we're fine. We're not going to ship them any goals. I mean, the Coventry game was a freak accident, I think. And even yesterday, we didn't really look like conceding, especially in that second half. But going forward, there are big issues, isn't there? I mean, in terms of creativity and goal scoring ability, it just seems that you need Eliza Mienda or Wilson Nistelrooy to run the length of the pitch to get us a goal, and then everyone's happy. But we are not creating a lot as a collective. Do you not think?
I think our style of play has definitely changed post Christmas. I mean, up to Christmas, it was high press, get the ball back in our own half, a couple of passes on the attack and score. Now it seems to be set low block, sort of sitting back, taking the pressure on and hoping for a counter from Mienda or Isidore. So yeah, he has sort of changed tack, and it is maybe not as, I suppose, aesthetically pleasing to watch. It's not as pretty on the eye, but I'm kind of hoping to think that maybe I'm wishful thinking that we're going to come back in for the next few games with all the squad fit and go back to the sort of way we were playing before Christmas, which was a lot more exciting. But yeah, if you look over the last few weeks, we're getting the odd goal, individual brilliance at times as well. So I don't know if it's got to do with maybe that the constant changing of the players, a few injuries. Like, we haven't really had a settled team for a good few months. I mean, like, we brought Lefay in January. He was gone for a couple of months. Roberts has been out. Mundell's been out. We haven't really had a settled attacking sort of structure to the team. I'm wondering maybe if that's kind of half the reason for it.
Right then, Jeff, I'll give you Joe Anderson. He came in yesterday, left back. To be honest, I thought he was our man of the match. I thought he had a decent game.
Yeah, quite agree. I thought he played well. He didn't put a foot wrong. It was, that was encouraging. Tommy Watson had a decent game yesterday. He's been in for a lot of flack. What I noticed when they made the substitutions, when Rig came on, he's a far better crosser of the ball than Watson was. In the corners and in the few times where he got down the outside, all the crosses he put in were flat. You're not giving your centre forwards anything. You've got to try and stand the ball up so they've got something to run onto. And unfortunately, I think Roberts was guilty of that as well. But you've got to get under the ball and get some height and give your centre forwards a chance. You're not always going to get the bullet header. And centre forward gathering momentum, running forward, got more chance of getting onto it than he has. If it's just thrashed at him flat. Yeah. And from the dead ball situations as well. How many times did we hit the first man?
Well, I mean, I think from corners and crosses, I think we're going to score very few goals unless that big Dan Ballard's in there, because
that's right.
We don't score many headers anyway, and I don't have any confidence in Isidore or Mayenda getting above a 6 foot tall defender and getting in front of them and be able to get a header off.
Really easy game yesterday.
Yeah, and you make a good point there about Tommy Watson. He did have a better game yesterday. I think he was more committed. I think he must have been reading the comments online about him being like a bit of a chicken, because he was like not going into challenges, but yesterday he was like sliding in, he was getting stuck in. So I suppose that was pleasing to see.
It's Michael, quite a bizarre situation, though, don't you think? Quite a bizarre situation.
Yeah,
and it's a done deal, with 10 games of the season to go, and I think that's poor management on our behalf, really.
Mm-hmm.
They could have kept that under wraps until the end of the season. I don't see why you'd have to go public when it did. It's certainly been of no benefit for the team and no real benefit for him. He ended up getting a lot of flack off the supporters, and quite deservedly so, because you've got to question his commitment and his desire to play for us when he's the pound signs are rolling round for the Premier League next season.
Yeah, I mean, given the way our club runs at the minute, I would be very surprised if it was the club who decided to publish that information. I imagine there must have been an agent who was talking to a journalist or something like that, because the club doesn't normally give that type of information out, especially nowadays.
I think it was coming out. I think there was rumours saying that it was going to get released by an agent, so the club just sort of tried to get out in front. But yeah, it should have been kept under wraps, because, as you said, it's helped nobody. Watson's in an awkward position here now, and then his commitment's getting questioned. The club have a player that doesn't want to be there. Do you use him? Do you not use him? It's a bit of a shame, really, because you could have had a bit of more of an influence going in for the last few games. Now you're kind of tossing him to the side come the playoffs, because you're going to be wondering if he's going to be that committed for us coming into the big games of the season.
Yeah. Michael, then onto the midfield. I was pleased to see Salis get some game time yesterday, because I think he could be a key player for the playoffs, especially in away legs. if we're playing a team that we don't want to play. I'm not going to name any names. But I thought he did well. I thought he got around the pitch, made his presence known, cut out some dangerous attacks from them, got rid of the ball fast. I thought there was in general, I thought yesterday in the midfield there was more urgency to get the ball forward faster than there has been in previous games. It could be just because the lineup was quite fresh, or basically the players like Harrison Jones, Salis, they wanted to impress. But what did you make of Salis's performance yesterday?
Yeah, everything you said above there, I thought he was quite good. He kind of sat in front of the back four and sort of starting to play and breaking down Blackburn's plays. It was a comfortable game for them because in one way Blackburn was sort of sitting off anyway, so there was a lot of time for him to get on the ball and start attacks. But the thing I'd question is his fitness. I think after an hour he's gassing out. He doesn't have more than an hour in him.
Yeah,
I know he's been injury ravaged all season, but as you said, I think him or maybe the likes of Alan Brown, that could be the away leg of the playoffs. Could be a game for someone like that who'll just sort of sit in front of the back four as an extra layer of protection. And he was good. As I said, there was a bit of urgency between him and Jones, and they did start a lot of good few attacks, but just I think it was an easy enough game for someone like that to come into because they had lost a lot of time on the ball. Looking forward, you wonder if we're going to keep someone like Salis next season. He just seems so unreliable fitness-wise, but there is a player in there if you could just get him on the pitch for more than 2 games in a row.
Yeah. Fingers crossed he can stay fit. Jeff, I'll give you the local boy, Harrison Jones. I thought the first half he was very good. He was behind everything that got us up the pitch, wasn't he? He was driving forward with the ball, looked dangerous, found space. Made the right pass quite often to the wings. I think in the second half he got a bit gassed out, didn't he? But the first half was kind of was promising, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. He showed good attacking intent. It's nice to see. I was impressed. I thought he had a good game. He linked up well, and that's where I feel we've been lacking of late. Is they're just going sideways all the time. There's trying to get past your man and get on the front foot. And he was one of the better players yesterday doing that. I thought Job had a decent game as well. Without really creating anything, but he held the ball well in midfield. He pirouettes well, doesn't he? And his distribution's improving. So disappointed with the defeat and disappointed with the lack of shots on target and the lack of work their keeper had to do. But in general, it wasn't too bad of a performance. And as I said earlier, we just got done by a good goal.
Yeah, I'm looking at the XG, the expected goals, and it was 1.4, and Blackburn was 0.29. So pretty much says a lot, doesn't it? Michael, then onto the wings. We touched on Tommy Watson before. On the other wing, Milan Alexic started, and it was quite interesting to see that Alexic got put on the left wing, and Tommy Watson was actually on the right wing. When obviously Tommy Watson, he prefers to be on the left, but we saw against Norwich that Alexic was quite ineffective on the right. He went for the switch. I thought Alexic, he's got a lot of energy, but there is a lot of rawness there, I think, isn't there, in his play?
Yeah, he's not a winger though. I don't think either.
No,
he just doesn't really suit him. I kind of feel sorry for him because every time he gets an opportunity, he's not really playing in a position that suits him. I think he was probably the most ineffective player going forward for us yesterday. He just nothing really got going from him. A couple of straight passes. He sort of kind of runs up blind alleys at times. It just doesn't suit his game, and it probably didn't help that. He had Anderson behind him, who's not a natural left back either. So there's sort of 2 lads playing sort of out of position. So yeah, it's been a tough enough season for Alexic. Really, he hasn't really got going at all. And there's a bit of expectation on him. Given, I think we did spend a couple of million on him. So hopefully, this season's a bit of a learning curve. I remember reading something about Regis said that he still can't speak the language, and it's becoming a bit of a stumbling block for him, sort of integrating with the squad. So hopefully, if he's learning it now, he should be okay by next season, and he'd be used to the league if we're in the Championship or the Premier League, and he could be improved next year. But it hasn't really got going for me. I haven't seen enough to be impressed by him, and I don't think he'd be sort of anywhere near the team for the playoffs.
No, I can't say that either. Jeff Wilson Isidore got the nod yesterday up front. He had an early chance, didn't he? I think on the edge of the box, he had a shot that got saved. But apart from that, how would you assess his performance? Is there anything that he's improved on, or do you think it's still pretty much the same, that he's not getting involved enough?
Yeah, he was pretty ineffective, really, wasn't he? After we started well, it was a bright start. We had 3 corners in the first 5 minutes or something, and he had a shot on target. But other than that, he didn't really. I guess it's because he's not getting those through balls the opportunity to hit them on the break because of the way they're playing. Like higher up the pitch and stuff, and it's awkward for him. I mean, we don't play the long ball over the top for him to run onto, do we? We're always looking. It's so congested in the middle of the park. It's difficult for him to get his legs going.
Yeah,
he's a real handful when he's running, isn't he? At full tilt, but he doesn't get that opportunity very often to get him behind the centre arcs. And maybe we need to be looking more into ways we can involve him.
Yeah,
but aren't daft either, and they work the systems out how to make him ineffective.
Yeah, no, true. Michael, then on the 64th minute, Regis decided to bring on the big guns. He brought on Chris Rigg, Mayenda, and Lefay. Obviously, there was like an upgrade in quality, a bit more urgency as well. But it was the same sort of thing, wasn't it? It was just basically pushing. We had the majority of the possession. I think in the second half we had loads, but we just didn't really create anything meaningful. I mean, in the end, it was like, as Jeff said, left to right, right to left, and it ended up with like a ball in the box that either didn't beat the first man or got cleared or whatever. So we did put the big guns on 30 minutes, but we didn't really create anything meaningful. Is that a concern?
No, I think, look, you got to kind of just take that game in the context of what it is. The crowd was like, the stadium was half full. Half the lads were sitting in the concourse drinking pints. They weren't watching the game.
Yeah.
There's empty seats everywhere. The players aren't daft either. I'm sure the manager probably said some 2 weeks ago, next few games, lads, results don't really matter as much. It's all about fitness. I think there was a mentality of sort of a lack of urgency, knowing that this isn't the be all and end all. Like, if we had to go out there yesterday with all those big guns needing to win, I've no doubt we would have won that game 2-0, 3-0. I just think maybe it's the mentality of everyone at the moment there, where it was about just getting game time into everyone. So you could just see that everyone was sort of lacking that extra bit of energy needed to get the goals. But look, Blackburn sat deep. They just made it awkward, and probably because we weren't going at a quick enough pace, we weren't stretching them too much. It was easy enough for them to defend against us. It's not a concern, but like I just think you have to take it in the context of the game that it was.
Yeah. Jeff, is that a bit dangerous to play that game? Like, basically telling the lads that these next 2 games are not as important in terms of result. It's all about fitness. Is that not a bit of a risk in terms of like maintaining high standards and professionalism, and to ensure that you don't drop your standards when it comes?
If I'd flown back for that, as I have done, I think I've done, I'm not sure if I've done 8 or 9 games so far this season. And I have to get 2 flights to get there during the winter into Manchester, and then drive from Manchester up to Sunderland. I'd have felt like I hadn't got my money's worth, shall we say, if I'd gone back for that game. It was I don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because if he pulls this off, they're going to say he's a managerial genius. And he's managed his squad to perfection. But you've also got to, like Michael said, if the lads are spending half the game on the concourse having a pint, it doesn't it certainly doesn't do a great deal for the atmosphere in the ground, and that must pass on to the players as well. And it's like, it's okay to put in a half-assed performance. Well, as a professional sportsman, that should never be acceptable, should it?
Mm. Yeah, no, and it was quite interesting, Jeff. I don't know if you're watching the live stream yesterday with Frankie and Danny, and basically Frankie said on commentary as soon as Blackburn scored the goal, he just said that seems to be the cue for people to go and have a half-time pint. It was like 33 minutes.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Michael, then on to the post-match comments from Regis. This is what he said. He says Lebris has urged his players to embrace a new mindset and rediscover their intensity as Sunderland gear up for a defining playoff push. Now, rediscover their intensity is a key word there, I think, as well. So Michael, he says, I'm disappointed with the result. The performance and the energy were okay, but not enough to score. We dominated Blackburn, but sometimes football is like that. We've tried to manage the squad to ensure we have more fit players for the playoffs. Now we have to switch into playoff mode with a different mindset. Today probably showed that, even if we are playing well. We need to add that extra energy and that mindset that will make the difference. At this stage, it's more about energy and our connection with the club than tactics. The team's understanding is there now, so it's really about the mentality. This recent period has been useful to refresh the squad, but that phase is done. Now we have one game a week, and the message for everyone is clear. We need to shift into a different mindset. These last two games will be tight, and every detail will matter. We have to build that mindset and energy starting now. So he's coming out fighting there, isn't he, with those comments, I think.
Yeah, I think he's getting. I think he's ready now. Like the playoff, this is the start of the playoffs, so I'd expect to see probably our strongest 11 against Oxford, and then for QPR as well. I think the few weeks there of getting the lads fit, giving everyone game time, everyone has been exposed to at least an hour of football over Easter as well. I think now you're like, I mean, now you'd be looking at Oxford and QPR, try to get 6 points, go into the playoffs. Hopefully Isidore gets a goal, gets his confidence back, and then you're looking at Mundell to come back, Sirkin to come back, Ballard to come back. You're looking at a full squad. So you can see what he's trying to do. Hopefully the mindset is there now. I think that things will be ramped up this week in training. So it'd be interesting to see what sort of performance comes out next weekend.
Yeah. Jeff, are you surprised that he's come out with these comments now? Is it because we've had like basically 3 defeats in a row, and he's like saying, "Okay, right, that's enough now. I've got to come out and say something, because if not, the fans might get even more pessimistic about the playoffs." So, are you a bit surprised that he's come out with this?
Yeah, I mean, take the cliches out, and it's good to say. I mean, it does sound like he knows what he's doing, and I hope he is managing the squad to the best of their ability. But as I said before, we all know what our best 11 is, barring the odd exception. And if that's his goal, to get that best 11 as fit as they can be for these last few games, then good on him, and let's hope we reap the dividends. But it would be good to get the team scoring goals again going into the playoffs, and up in everybody's confidence levels, because how many times I think the last time I was on here with you, Lee, we're talking about why aren't we battering anybody? When was the last time we won 3-0 comfortably, and played a team off the park? It's either been odd goal defeats or odd goal victory. We haven't really been dominant for a long time, and we need to get that sort of momentum and aggression going, and start hitting the back of the net.
Yeah. The comment here, he said the performance energy were okay, but not enough to score. I think that's kind of like being a story of the second half of the season, isn't it, really? So for sometimes that we just haven't been able to score, despite being all right. Michael, he says, at this stage, it's more about energy and our connection with the club than tactics. I think the tactics also is a bit of a concern, especially going forward. Do you agree with this comment?
I don't really know what he means by it. Like, I mean, obviously the energy and connection, but I'm sure they'll be working on tactics as well. I mean, to be honest, you can read too much into post-match interviews. There's just a camera in front of them. They're for the club's YouTube. A lot of it's just kind of hyperbole and one-liners used just for people to read. I don't watch half of them anymore because you think he says the same stuff nearly every week. To be honest, on them, so I don't take too much notice by it.
Yeah,
I think also I think a lot of it doesn't translate well.
No.
You know, it's language, you're hearing, as I do, people commenting on, speaking Spanish, talking about an English game or something, and when they do literal translations, it sounds like scribble.
Yeah. I think what he's trying to say is like basically here the connection with the club is basically with the fans, but if you're losing 3 games on the bounce, I don't think you do.
I tell you what, though, here's a question: would you want to be in the position of Sheffield United, who've just missed out on the playoffs and their managers losing their head, us who've got the time to prepare, or still be Coventry, Middlesbrough, or Bristol going into the last 2 games not having your playoff spot secured? I think I'd rather be in the position we are than the other teams, to be honest.
Well,
I think we've got nothing to lose,
have
we, at all, and I think we've exceeded our expectations at the start of the season. We'd certainly have taken, finishing 4th. There's so many things. The youngest squad. So does that just mean he's going to turn around to them and say, just go out there and do your best and get stuck in? And if we don't do it, nothing to worry about, and let them play with gear abandon, shall we say, rather than putting them under all this pressure. I would say. I think Sheffield United will go into this as red hot favourites, just because of where they finished, and they're a good side. But how many times have we seen a 3rd place team bottle it because of the pressure? And I think having such a young squad could potentially work in our advantage.
I think I would have taken this position all year long. I mean, it's just I think we find it strange to be in the. Like, I mean, generally our season nearly ended after the Leeds defeat for automatic hope. So we nearly had 3 months to play around of being fairly secure in the playoffs and a lot of time to kill, which, like, I mean, it is a difficult situation to sort of maneuver because we were so comfortable in the playoffs for 2-3 months there that really you had to do something like this just to give people game time. So I think results have really gone as second with the fitness of the players is the number 1 priority over the last few weeks. And I just read yesterday, I think Sheffield United have 11 times been in playoffs and they've never got through on 11 occasions. So I wouldn't like to be in their boat. There's a lot of pressure on them. They spent a lot of money. Their manager seems to have lost his head a little bit. On the other side, Bristol City are working hard to get in. They still have to secure their spot. They lost their 1 main player to injury there last week, Mark Sykes. An Irish international. So, look, I think, results are disappointing, but I think if you, come into the playoffs with a fully fit squad, with the abandonment of youth, as you said there, Jeff, like there's a lot to be hopeful for. I think some people are sort of taking the last few results in the context of the whole season and rather than what's coming next, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. You mentioned a good point there, Michael. I mean, Sheffield United, they're in a similar vein of form to us. They've won 1 in 5. They've lost 4.
With their starting team. with
the
fully
fit team. Fair enough. Yeah. And obviously Chris Wilder and his players are losing it. You saw yesterday against Burnley, they were having fights and like they're pushing the police officers away as well. So yeah, I think I'm not really worried about them. But obviously behind us you got Bristol City. I think they've won 3 in 5. Coventry have won 2 in 5. Middlesbrough, I think 2 in 5, and then you got Millwall just behind who've won 4 in 5. So, I don't know, Jeff. Is momentum important going into these playoffs? Do we need to have a good performance and a win in these last 2 games to get the fans up and ready for the playoffs?
Yeah, I think it is. Confidence is everything, isn't it? And if they can play without the pressure, they shouldn't be under pressure because anything we get going forward is going to be an absolute bonus, isn't it? And if it doesn't work out, yes, we're potentially going to lose some of our best assets, but we'll be there again. And maybe it's just come a bit too soon. I don't want to sound pessimistic, but that squad, as it stands, I don't think it'd do as well as Southampton have done in the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
I would fear for our sanity, shall we say? Nobody wants to watch your team getting mullered every week, which is what happened. And if you realistically look at it, how many players have we got that would be able to hold their own in the Premier League? And there's probably only 3.
Yeah.
3 or 4. You need wholesale changes, and I don't think you can buy a ready-made Premier League club off the shelf.
Yeah.
It can't be done, because of the financial restrictions, etc., etc. But to go up and come straight back down again, like what's happened with the 3 that went up last season, they're going to secure their financial security, because if I'm not mistaken, it's something like 100 mil for going up, and then you get about 80 mil for the parachute payments coming down. So that will allow you and afford you to attract, more experienced players, better quality players, and start again from there. If we don't go up, we're going to struggle to compete with the 3 that come down. And if you look at the top 2, they came down last season as well, didn't they?
Well, Leeds was the season before, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah. Sorry, Burnley and
Sheffield United and
Luton's the other one that, I mean, they've sort of they've done what we did when we dropped out the first time. They're going to double dip by the looks of things, aren't they?
Yeah. I don't know, Michael. I mean, I'm struggling to find the optimism, and even yesterday I was talking to one of the guests on the podcast, Dermot, and he's normally full of optimism, and he said, like, well, Le Fay is the key for the playoffs, but yesterday was awful. 1 win in 5, 3 defeats in a row, 3 goals in 8 games. We need to get our arse in gear fast, I think, and I think that has to start. I mean, for you, is it fundamental that we get at least 1 win in the last 2 games? Does it matter which one?
Yeah, I sound like a broken record. I think I've said a few times. I'm not worried about the last few weeks' results, to be honest, overall. But I do think we need to get I think we will. I think we'll go fully strength now the last couple of games with our strongest team, strongest players on the bench, and I'd be fairly confident we'll probably win the next 2 games and go into the playoffs in good mode. I mean, as I said already, I know I've said a couple of times, you can't read too much into the last few weeks, because like that team yesterday, how many of them are going to be starting in the first leg of the playoffs? Patterson, 2 centre halves maybe, and Job. I couldn't see any of the rest of them starting. So you're playing 4 of your starting 11 were starting the game yesterday. So come this Saturday, hopefully against Oxford, I think you'll go fully strength, and I would fancy just to win there. And then the last game of the season against QPR, win that, and then you think optimism will be higher going into the playoffs.
Yeah, and even still, there are some people who disagree with that. There's still some people who say we should be wrapping them up in cotton wool and ready for the playoffs. But
I don't think you'll win. You'll never win, no matter what you do with people in Sunderland fan base. Yeah. We never ever united in the same opinion.
But yeah, Jeff, I think you can't just flick a switch, can you? You can't just like go bing, and then if you've lost like 3 games on the bounce and then you go into playoffs and I mean, Sheffield United, I think they're going to struggle in the playoffs and could spell the end of Wilder. But you just can't flick a switch, can you not, Jeff? I don't think.
No, I think you're right, Lee. We do certainly need to gather some momentum and get that, get some goals behind us and look like a threat going forward. Maybe maybe we've been too defensively minded, and that's not going to work for you in the playoffs. You've got to go get out there and win those games. And if you can nick a goal in the first leg, happy days. I would fancy us to beat anybody at home. Whoever we come up against, it's just going to be a bit of a damage limitation exercise playing away and try and nick it. I mean, we know how well we can play. I can go back to one of the games I came over for earlier in the season when we played Burnley at home, and we were superb. We won 1-0, but we could have won 3 or 4-0. That was probably the best performance live that I've seen this season of the 8 or 9 games I've been to. So it is in there. We have got the ability to do it, and I just hope he can get them revved up, and we can finish the season on a high. And a trip to Wembley would be nice.
Yeah. Right then. So Chris Rigg did the post-match interview yesterday. He said, "We need everyone going to the playoffs. We've got to take every opportunity as it comes. It's another defeat, which isn't great, but hopefully we can turn the switch and go into the playoffs fire and ready to go." He said, "I think it's a great achievement to do what we've done this season. We've secured 4th place with many games to go. Now the focus is firmly on the final push. We've just got to believe how good we are. We need the fans to follow us as they always do, and we take it into the playoffs and show everyone how good we really are." Just one final thing on this, Michael. Do you think the players are affected by these defeats, and they feel the frustration of the fans, and it adds a little bit more pressure on them?
No, I say there's full transparency between squad and the management. I think they know what's been going on over the last few weeks. I'd say they all know what happens. It's easy for us because we're reading social media, reading what the fans are saying, the message boards. That's where the noise is coming from us. We're not privy to what the players know and what the management are asking of them. So I'm sure they're kind of keenly aware that we need a win, but I'm sure they're at the same time knowing that the manager had a plan in place.
Mm-hmm. Right, well, on that note then, we'll kind of wrap things up. So, Jeffrey, it looks like we're going to have like 2 games where we'll have a full-strength squad. What would you like to see from those 2 games?
Yeah, 2 victories, or at least certainly some more attacking intent. We need to get at these sides. Basically, both Oxford and QPR have got nothing to play for, have they? So they're going to be, on the beach, as they say. So, we should be steamrolling them. It'd be good. Certainly the final home games against QPR, isn't it? Mm-hmm. If we can smash them out the park, that'd be good to get everybody revved up and get the place rocking again. It's been a bit graveyard-like, hasn't it? The stadium.
Yeah.
I haven't been back for a couple of months, but watching the games on the telly, it's very quiet, isn't it? And like Michael said earlier on, there was tons of empty seats there yesterday, and we need to get the stadium full and the place buzzing, and I think we'll do all right. And as I said, I'd back us to beat anybody at home.
No, I think when it comes to the playoffs, that home leg and the second leg, you'd expect the stadium will be rocking, but you have to question where's that been for the majority of the season. Michael, these last 2 games then, could we actually consider it as the playoffs itself? Because we've got an away match and then a home match. So could it be an opportunity for Lebris to put like a team out against Oxford to think this is like an away leg? We're going to go there and we're going to set up like this as if we were playing an away leg of the playoffs and try and like get a draw or sneak a 1-0 win. And then obviously in the home leg, the home game the following week, take it as the home leg and go, okay, we're going to go out full attack and it's the second leg. Could you see something like that happening?
Yeah, possibly. He might try players in positions that he's looking at towards the playoffs. He said you might sit back more against Oxford and try counter-attacking and then take the game more to QPR in the second leg. Yeah, I'd say they're all sort of dress rehearsals for the playoffs now. I'd say you'll see, as I said, the strongest players coming out, and he might try a couple of different tactical tweaks in each game to see sort of things that he wants to look at for the playoffs. So yeah, that wouldn't be a surprise.
Brilliant. Right then, lads. Jeff, you said that you're going to the match, the playoff second leg match, right?
Yeah.
Michael, will you be there as well or not?
I'll be at the QPR home game, and then I'm going to the away leg of the playoffs, so I won't make the home one. Yeah.
Yeah, because isn't that the Friday night, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm working midweek, obviously, so I can't get to the second game.
Yeah, same here. Well, fingers crossed then we get like 2 wins and then we're going to the playoffs on a high and then we can just say like taking the piss with Regis Lebris. Right, that's it for today, lads. Thanks for coming on. Jeff, have a good day. Michael, you too, mate, and I'll see you next time. How are the lads?
All the best.